Hey, welcome back, folks. Today I'm going to be ripping some junk. I picked up a box of 93 Bowman baseball. This is the jumbo box, so they have a few extra cards in the pack. There's 20 packs per box, and I think you get 2 of the foil cards per pack. And I believe, I forget how many cards now, 22 cards total per pack. So I did get a little antsy and wanted to see if these were bricked or not, see what was in here, so I opened I think it was 3 or 4 packs already. And so I'll go through those cards here in just a moment. And then before I get started, I have promised 2 of these packs to Junk Food John because I owed him some wax. And I know he's a Yankees fan and likes Jeter and Pettit, and both rookies are in here. So I'm going to hang on to these. Good luck, Junk Food John. All right, and with that, let's get these things ready. Here we go. And then I'll quickly run through what we've pulled so far. So for the foils, we got Troy O'Leary, Alex Gonzalez, Todd Van Poppel, Justin Thompson, Brian Taylor, and Carlos Delgado, which is a pretty sweet pull. There's a bunch in there that would have been massive pulls back in 1993. Out of the base cards, you got a second-year Manny, and then there's a handful. There's a Glavin, and I forget there was Mark Davis, Mark Grace, Eric Davis. There was a handful of others, but nothing too notable out of the base. But here's what we've got for base so far. All right, let's jump right in. These are wrapped in plastic. They're not wax. So the good news is they're really impossible to reseal. Not that someone would try to reseal these. I don't think they're lucrative enough to bother with, but all right. And these are bricked a little, so you'll see you have to kind of peel them apart. All right, there's Brian Edmondson, Jose Vieira, Mike James, Joel Chamelis. All right, looks like we got to our foils already. Got to be careful so it doesn't have any paper loss. All right, foils, we have Tim Salmon, which is a pretty sweet pull, and then Raul Mondesi. So that Mondesi is diamond centered and off by quite a bit. Salmon's off top to bottom, not too bad otherwise, but those are 2 of the top foils in that set, along with the Carlos Delgado. Jeter did not have a foil in this set, so that is not going to be a possibility. All right, Manny Alexander, there's Bobby Witt Sr. Bobby Witt is on fire this year. Brett Barbary, Dave Holland, Sammy Sosa. That would have been a pretty big pull back in 93 as well. That's a 3rd-year Sosa card. Had he started donging home runs yet? Not quite. He must have been pre-stereos or just getting started because he only had 8 home runs in 92. Not exactly the pace that he was on there for a few years. Doug Jones, and then lastly, Tom Pagnozzi. All right. Pack number 2. All right, Ken Ryan, Mike Robertson, Andy Cook, Rick Helling, Jose Oliva. I was gonna try to leave this and do the foils last. All right, well, I just bent that card in half. Let's save those. All right, Chris Gomez, Alan Newman, Bobby Bonilla, Mr. Met for life, Matt Walbeck, Willie McGee, one of the most handsome men to ever play the game, Glenn Davis, Jeff Darwin, Jeff King, had a decent career, Paul something or other. There's Marquise Grissom. That's probably a 3rd-year card if I had to guess. Yep, it looks about right. And Shane Andrews, who was a decent prospect if I remember right at the time, somewhere around there. Led up the prospect list for Andrews. Number 1 draft selection in 1990. There you go. I thought he was fairly high up there. All right, let's see what we got for the foils. We got Matt Whiteside base. There's the Fireman John Franco base. All right, here is a Raul Mondesi, which looks like the Regular base. These are a little tricky. You got to be careful. There we go. All right, there's the Mondi. It does have some marks on there. I don't know if that's actually paper loss or if you can wipe that off, so I will toy with that later on. All right, we got Bubba Smith. Never heard of him. And Willie Green. I think Willie Green was also a pretty hot prospect for one time. It says compared wrist hitter who's been compared to Harold Baines. Wow. Could have been a Hall of Famer. All right, pack number 3. Still no Pettit or Jeter. There's also a second-year card of Mariano Rivera. Second-year card of Mike Piazza. That's a decent-looking card. Yvonne Cruz, Chris Chef Chris. Bobby Hughes, Damon Hollins. It's a prospect for the Braves that never really panned out. All right, we got somebody here. I will say the collation is pretty good with this Bowman set. I haven't seen a lot of duplicates early on. I think they do a fairly good job of spreading them out in these boxes. Keith Gordon. There's Brian Anderson. He was a bit of a flash in the pan, probably because of the steroids. 31 career home runs. That might be his rookie card, actually. Brady Anderson, one of the best leadoff seasons in years. There's Lou Whitaker, Hall of Famer. Dan Wilson. Denny Martinez, El Presidente. We got Joe Randa, who was a mainstay at third base for the Royals for years. Wally Joyner, who was apparently also on the Royals for a short time. And Roger Cedeno. It's kind of a fun set. It's a throwback for sure. Very nostalgic. All right, we got Tony Tarasco with probably paper loss. And then we've got Mark Newfield with little Tony Tarasco remnants there. And Joe Vitiello, prospect for the Royals that never did anything. Power to all fields. Okie dokie. I'll take your word for it. I'm going to set those down. All right, pack number, is it 4? Because of this bricking, it's not a real fast rip, so you might want to stick this sucker on 2x speed. Rick Helling, Jose Oliva, Justin Thompson, Mike Williams. A couple of these cards are bent fairly well, like the Derek Wallace. Good thing it's not Derek Jeter because that sucker is hooked at the top. All right, Bill Risley. Todd Hollinsworth, he was a decent player for a couple of years. Got knuckleballer Tim Wayfield. Look at that grip. He's getting ready to deliver somebody something nasty that you're not going to get close to. Darren Fletcher, Brian Kelling, Kevin Mitchell, all right, Ray Holbert, Luis Gonzalez. He was a very good player for a number of years. That is also not a rookie card. Looks like a second or third year card for Gonzalez. Here's Hall of Famer Joe Carter. We got Nate Minchie. You don't know him either. Brian Bevel. Never heard of you. Danny Maselli. Jose Rijo. We got Hall of Famer here, Barry Larkin. All righty. You got a Tom Candiotti. And then we've got Jesse Hollins, foil. Let's see if we can unbrick the second one here. Javi Lopez. That's got to be one of the top foils in that set. I guess I did not realize Javi Lopez had a foil card. Yeah, interesting. He obviously had a fantastic career in Atlanta, and I'd say that's a hit. All right, let's keep this rip a-rolling. I may have to do this in 2 parts because it's a little slow. Quentin McCracken, Tim Worrell. Is Tim related to Todd? I always assume so. I have no idea. Craig Lefferts, who seemingly spent time on every organization in baseball. Paul Ellis. All right, here we go. Roger Clemens should be a Hall of Famer on the back. We get to that one in a minute. Here's a Graham Lloyd. Turk Wendell. He had a decent couple seasons for Chicago. Mike Farrell looks a little bit like Dave Chappelle. Jay Gaynor. Alan Watson. Carlos Quintana. I always thought he was going to turn into something more than he was. He had a few flashes of power. Rafael Palmeiro. There's another guy who might have had a chance at the Hall of Fame if he had stayed off the juice and also lied about it. Brandon Wilson, Darrell Hamilton, and there's Roger Clemens, quite a bit off-centered. And, yeah, Roger was another one. He was quite the strikeout artist, fireballer. I don't think he needed to do roids, but that was his choice to keep up at the time, and I don't fault him for it. Everybody was doing it. There's former NL Rookie of the Year Chris Sabo with the signature goggles. Here is Pat Mears. Beautiful. All right, we got a Marty Cordova, which would have been a pretty good pull at the time. Cordova had I think he had a decent few years. I thought it was with Minnesota and maybe Montreal as well. All right, and then Jim Tatum. Sorry, Jim, but I never heard of you either. All right, let's do one more, and then we'll take a quick pause for station identification. All right, we got Mike Welch, Steve Cox. There's a checklist. Let's put that baby up here. Steve Olson, Jim something or other. Converse. Tommy Adams. And we've got Robin Ventura, who famously made the ill-fated decision to charge Mr. Nolan Ryan. Greg Gore, Larry Carter, Nigel Wilson. And we got Jay Garner glued to the back. Jay Gaynor, Alan Watson, Larry Thomas. Bowman's always been the pack that's tried to get all the prospects in, so you'd get the first card of the prospects coming up. So you get a lot of misses in here as well. Jose Martinez, a lot of names you've never really heard of. Brant Brown, okay, Pat Kelly, Jay Bell. There's a decent ball player. All right, let's see what we got for foils here. First, we got the Mark Holzheimer. Okay. Here's one of the cool cards from this set. It's Felipe and Moises Alou. So it's got the father-son combo. There's another one in here for Griffey, I know, and that's one I'd love to have. And Frank Rodriguez. The Griffey would be a pretty cool card to add to the collection, so I may be looking for one of those. I'm going to pause here. All right, hope you guys didn't miss me. I am back like nothing happened. And let's keep this rip going. There's only a handful of packs here. All right, Moises Alou compared, right there on the heels of the Felipe and Moises pull. He was a pretty good player. Not Hall of Fame caliber, but definitely a star. Had a few seasons where I think he hit 350 or 350 plus, if I remember right. Livingston, Dr. Livingston. All right, there's Doc Gooden. I don't remember when the card started calling him by his nickname instead of Dwight Gooden. It always reminds me of like the Rock Reigns card. I always thought that was a dorky card. Dave Malicki, Mark Langston. Trade you for Randy Johnson. Andy Benez. Charlie Willie Mays Hayes. There's Darren Dalton, R.I.P. He was born and raised just outside of, in Ark City, Kansas, which is in south central Kansas. My uncle knew his family. Dave Winfield, Hall of Famer. Neon Deion Sanders. Hey, there's the big unit. This has been a great pack so far. Man, another Hall of Famer, Mike Mussina. I'm assuming that's about a third year, maybe, Mussina? Second or third year? Looks like second year. Does that mean his rookie card was in the 92 Bowman set? I don't recall off the top of my head. I thought he had a 91 upper deck. Orlando Merced, Mark Kiefer, Julio Bruno. There's Aaron Small, who you've probably never heard of him either. Crunch. All right, we got Steve Hosey and Bobby Jones. You know, I should have close to completing that entire set of foils. I think there's roughly 40 cards in the foils, maybe 48. I can't remember now exactly, but something like that. So maybe I'll finish putting together that set of foils. All right, Steve Cook, Pat Mustache, Aaron Seeley, Mike Matthews, Tony Menendez. I wonder if that's any relation to MJ Melendez. Probably not. Yes, I tell stupid jokes, make myself laugh. Maybe he's related to the Mendez brothers, who I heard are close to getting out of prison. All right, here we got big slugger Rob Deere when he was in Detroit. An interdivision trade. There's Trevor Hoffman. I believe that's a second-year Hoffman. Looks like it. Closer for years for the Giants, I believe, or was it the Padres, or both, or whatever. Tony Longmire. Hey, there's Hall of Famer. 500 home run club member, Eddie Murray. There's JT Snow. Mike Goulan. There's Dante Bichette, Bo Bichette's father. I think the jury's still out to see who will be the better player. They're both, to me, kind of same class. I think Bichette's numbers were probably buoyed a little by his time in Colorado, and his son is obviously a standout star. There's Big Mike McFarland, who runs a youth baseball organization in the Kansas City area now. John something or other. Big Greg Vaughn. Bip Roberts. And there's Hall of Famer Craig Biggio. Hall of Famers out the yin yang over here. Part of the Killer Bees in Houston. All right, we got Lance Blankenship. All right, and then we got Midre Cummings, who I think everyone thought would turn into a decent star for Pittsburgh back in the early 90s. And Todd Jones, who did turn into a hell of a closer for a number of years. There's a good ball player. See if I can get through these 7 packs in the next 15 minutes here. Rich Becca, Carl Hanselman, Jamie Taylor, Lee Heath, Greg Olson. Let's flip them over. Ooh, save that one. Orestes Destrade. I do not know him. Then there's a Doug Drabeck glued to the back. Frank Viola, not in the Hall of Fame. He's one I never can remember. I just remember him having a bunch of decent seasons in the 80s, and I always think, is that guy a Hall of Famer? Did he do enough, but was nowhere near enough? There's Desi Relaford. Played a number of years at short for the Mariners. There's Ruffin. Hey, Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown was absolutely dominant for a number of years. I liked him, watching him pitch. He was a big strikeout guy, but he also is not a Hall of Fame candidate. Jack Voigt. There's Big Mac, who will also never be in the Hall of Fame unless they decide to forget about the steroid years. Rick Aguilera. We got Scott Bullet. Great name. Hey, here we go. Here's the Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. combo. And that is when, I guess, did Senior coach for the Mariners, I guess? I don't really remember that. Maybe he's just wearing a hat in support. And there's Dan Fry. So the Griffey's a pretty great pull. Actually, the centering is not that bad. It's off a little bit, like most of these foils. I think it's centered enough that it would never make a PSA 10. Centered off enough, but I would say if that card cleans up well, if there's no paper loss, that could be a solid PSA 9, which would mean it was not worth the price of submission. There's Todd Hundley. Jimmy Gonzalez. Tim Belcher, solid pitcher for years for the Dodgers. Donovan Osborne. Who do we got here? Jim Pena. A couple that weren't stuck. Hey, there's Greg Jeffries. That was the dream pull back in, what, 88? Jose Lynn. There's Mo Vaughn. He was a force to be reckoned with for years. Brooke Fordyce, Bobby Welch, Ron Vallone. This pack is not bricked nearly like the others were. Maybe I spoke too soon. Les Norman, proudly wore 14. Robbie Thompson, I believe he had a rookie, Topps All-Star Rookie Gold Cup card in 87. Kevin Robertson, there's Joe Girardi with the Rocks. There's Will the Thrill Clark, another Hall of Famer. Stack them up. And then Jose Vidro. You guys probably are wondering where he's up to these days. I couldn't tell you, and you couldn't either. The internet might not even know. All right, we got Mark Smith. Highly valuable card. All right, and then the foils, we have Brian Rupp. I do not recall Brian Rupp. And Gary Moda. Another guy I do not know. I feel like these packs are multiplying. When I'm short on time, it feels like you can never get through them, which normally is a hell of a bonus for ripping these things. All right, Darren Burton. They wouldn't even give him a batting helmet with a logo on it. Looks like a Leaf card. There's Kenny Lofton. That one's got a nice ding at the top. Mike Felder. There's Tim Salmon. Bill Wirtz. Kenny Carlisle. Let's put that over here. All right, Brian Bevel. There's a double. Old Steve Dixon. Rich Robertson. Hey, there we go. That's actually in pretty good shape. It looks like it's off-centered top to bottom a little bit, but there's a really nice second-year Mariano Rivera. That was one of the cards I was hoping to pull. Hey, there's the Hawk, Andre Dawson. I always liked watching him play as well. Dawson's a Hall of Famer, right? Back me up on this. Hey, there's Patrick Mahomes. If you look close enough, I think you can see his son in that picture. Maybe not. All right. Aaron Ledesma. There's Steve Avery. Richie Lewis. Scott Leidy. And EY himself, Eric Young. I don't have ESPN, but I don't know if Eric Young is still on Baseball Tonight or not. Danny Michelle, I think that's also a repeat. Hey, here we go. Here's a great one. Ken Griffey Jr. Any Griffey card to me is a great pull, especially one from around this time frame. It's about his fourth year. He'd already had 87 home runs before the 93 season. Obviously in the Hall. Midre Cummings, that's also a repeat I remember from earlier. Hey, here's another one of those great foils. I'm happy to get this one too. Barry and Bobby Bonds. That's a great card. Centering's pretty good on this one. It's off a little bit up here, but this is a nice looking card. I like these father-son cards. Maybe it's just the nostalgia of it, but I enjoy those. And hard-hitting Larry Sutton. Everybody remembers him. All right. I know you guys came for the commentary. Hope you thoroughly enjoy it. Trying to pull those foils away there, but I cannot. All right, Mike Moeller. There's Kirby Puckett, another Hall of Famer. Another one gone way too soon. Kirby Puckett was definitely one of my favorite players. There's Delano DeShields. He was a very solid and speedy outfielder. I think he played second as well for a while. Joe Cicerella. Stan Bergman. All right, come on. We got Candy Maldonado. There's speedy Vince Coleman. I don't know what happened to Vince Coleman. He just started having a bunch of injuries and suddenly couldn't run anymore or what, but man, that guy seemed like a sure ballot Hall of Famer after his first couple seasons, but just kind of faded away. Charles Nagy, Donnie Elliott, Bud Black, played for Kansas City for a number of years. Hey, there's Albert Don't Call Me Joey Bell, who was a absolute masher. That guy had some absolutely unrepeatable seasons for sure. Should have won the MVP. I believe that was 90, it might have been 92, where he got completely jobbed. Brett Butler, Doug DeCenzo, Scott Ruffcorn, Matt Williams. I think Matt Williams is in the Hall of Fame as well, isn't he? I don't remember on Matt Williams. So I'm going to set him down there. Solomon Torres, who is most definitely not in the Hall of Fame. Tim Costco. Maybe not. All right. We've got Brad Pennington, who is giving it everything he's got on that split finger ball. JT Snow, there's a nice foil. He was one of the bigger rookies back in the early 90s. People were looking for JT Snow, and he had a decent career, I believe. All right, got a Hall of Famer on the back of this one. Maybe you've heard of Mr. Cal Ripken. All right. I was not a real big Cal Ripken fan, just to be perfectly honest, when he was playing. I thought he was overrated. I just wasn't impressed with Cal Ripken, but just my opinion. I know he's an amazing player and was always a good guy, but another checklist card. Alan Hombre, Ray Sanchez, somebody Alvarez. Marcos Armas. Bobby Munoz. I think we had one of those earlier. Chad McDonald. Curtis Shaw. Rondell White. There's another Pat Mears. Ooh, here's Mike Greenwell. You may recall I just picked up an autograph of Mike Greenwell, who is another guy who I thought was going to be just a legend. He had a few pretty good seasons. I remember pulling his rookie cards in 87 Topps, getting super excited about those. There's old Tim Raines. Is this before or after he was Rock and then changed it back? Stupid nickname. Daryl Whitmore, whatever. You don't know him. Brent Bowers. All right, and then we got Tony Fernandez, who is a very solid player. And our foils, Mr. Alan Watson with the cards, and Nigel Wilson, who we had his base earlier in the pull here. All right, folks, we got two more packs. I think I gave away Junk Food John's. I think I gave my Jeter and Pettit's in these two packs. So let me ask, Junk Food John, do you want the original packs or do you want to trade them for the final two? I'm going to pause here while I find out. All right. I would lie and say that Mr. Junk Food John said just to keep his original packs, but he is not responding, and I have to leave to catch a flight, so I made the choice for him. And knowing what I know about him, he would not trade his packs for these two packs, and so we are going to finish this rip. All right, we'll start with a couple repeats. Lefferts, Worrell, Paul Ellis. Here's a new one, Felipe Lira. There's another checklist. Marshall Bowes. All right, let's flip these around here. I am dying to know if John made the right call and if the maybe the Jeter and Pettit's are in these packs. Maybe they are in his packs. There's Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson. Another great pull. Ray McDavid, Mike Hennigan, John Burkett, Dean Palmer. Dean Palmer had a couple of really big seasons. I don't know if he ever hit 40. But I think he did hit at least 30 one year, right? Mid-30s, I don't know. Andujar Cedeno. There is Glenn Allen Hill, who I believe coached first base for the Yankees for a while. Rob Butler, Ryan something or other. There's another Greg Jeffries. One of those will be for sale. If you're interested, hit me up in the comments. All right, Junior Felix, who was a young speedster. It's got quite a bit of paper loss. All right, here we go. Here's probably one of the best foils in this box that you can get, and that's the Chipper Jones rookie card. So it definitely has a little bit of stuff on there from the Junior Felix, but I think this will clean up. So I am going to do my best to clean that Chipper up because that's definitely one of the best pulls, especially from the foils. Chipper rookie card, and there is Russ Davis. All right, guys, last pack. Let's get a Jeter before I have to hit the road here. That'll be a nice way to start my trip. Right, there's the last of the checklist. I believe I might have all those checklists. Mike Crosby, Sean Runyon, which was a repeat from one of the first packs. There is Hall of Famer Dennis Eckersley, one of the all-time saves leaders. Quentin McCracken. All right, Rob Natal. All right, Derek Lowe. Ramon Martinez, Pedro's older brother. There's Reggie Sanders, had a really good career. Greg McMichael, solid pitcher for a while. There's a nasty thing, Rob Dibble. Julio Franco, who played into the ripe age of 70. We got Troy Percival, closer for the A's. Kevin Apier, one of the Royal greats. Willie Banks. Ken Hill. Brett Boone, who was a solid second baseman for the Mariners. Dave Magadan. I think he had his best years probably for the Mets, but I don't know, debatable. Rob Natal. It looks like no Jeter and no Pettit in this box. Disappointing, but hey, maybe Junk Food John got lucky and has the Jeter and Pettit in his pack, so I am going to hope for his sake that that is the case. All right, we got a Gabe White, little paper loss. And then the last two foils, Tyrone Hill and Troy Percival. Troy Percival would have been a pretty decent pull for the foils. He was one of the better players in this set with the rookie card and the foils. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. I look forward to your comments below. All right, have a great day.